Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, a show where two rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on your way to and from work. I'm Shano.
And I'm the Chameleon.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. Well, everyone, we are about to hit, can you believe it, Griff? We're about to hit round 4 of the NRL.
Yep.
It's going too quick. It's like your holidays. It seems like time with the NRL goes quicker than time without it. Some interesting results over the weekend. Actually, that's a lie. They weren't too interesting. It was pretty much, I suppose, at times. Oh, there were interesting games. That's not true. There were some interesting games.
Some good games, yeah.
And there were some good games. And it kicked off on Thursday with the Storm beating Panthers 30 points to 24. In a game, Griff, I don't know about you. I thought the Storm they were ready to do a number on Penrith, and Penrith in their normal way just kept coming back. Warriors 14, Roosters 6. I thought that was one of the interesting games for me. Broncos 26, the Cowboys 16, Sharks 27, South Sydney 12. In a scoreline that flattered the Bunnies somewhat. You're probably thinking, how's that flattering for the Bunnies? That could have been an absolute cricket score. Tigers 30, Dolphins 18. Titans 26, Knights 6. Knights looked very flat at the Gold Coast. Eels 8, Bulldogs 16. Definitely suffering with some key losses, the Bulldogs, even though they won. And the Seagulls 40. Ruben Garrick had a day out. The Raiders on 12 in that one. It sees the ladder looking something like this. We can actually look at the ladder now because there's a few. It makes for some interesting reading. There's certain fans who would be more than happy to take a screenshot of this, and others maybe not. But the Storm are number 1 on 6 points. The Dogs also have 6 points. Seagulls in third on 4. West Tigers with 4. Broncos with 4. Sharks 4. Warriors 4. Titans 4. Raiders 4. Knights 4. Souths 4. Heading up, the teams with 2 points, 1 win are the Panthers, Dragons, Roosters, Dolphins, Cowboys, Eels. Dolphins, Cowboys, Eels. Those three yet to score any points. There was some great rugby league play throughout the weekend. Griffo, what caught your eye?
Yeah, look, there were several things that did catch my eye, and I've got to go with the thing that I think I saw first. And that wasn't good news for you, that
that
where
try.
Ronaldo Mulitalo picked up the ball about maybe 1 or 2 meters shy of his dead in goal line and managed to get out of that area. I think he might have passed to Will Kennedy. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, no, it was Kennedy.
A bit downfield, and he got it to Kyle Hero, and I mean they literally went about 115 meters from the back of almost on their own in goal, to a couple of meters inside.
I was saying to someone during the week, if he'd taken 1 step back before he started running, he would have gone pretty much as far as any rugby league player could go on a rugby league field.
Yeah, I mean that was hard to top. That was just brilliant.
That'd be try. That'd be. That could even be try of the year.
Yeah, and they had. I don't know if it was before or after that one. It might have been after. They went the length of the field again. Pretty smart.
Yeah, they.
So they showed the sort of football last week that has them as one of the top 4 contenders. I want a couple of notable mentions of other things. One was Payne Haas, who just obliterated the Cowboys' defense to go on a long-range solo try himself. And the other thing, and this was the one I really tossed up, was Tigers' captain Apasai Korisau, who, when the game was on the line, came up with a really smart play to put one of his players over. I can't remember who scored the try. And then not long after that, went on a dummy half dart himself. He just he bamboozled his opposition, the Redcliffe Dolphins, and got his team over the line. So they were the three things that stood out for me out of round number 3.
It's very interesting, Griff. Sort of in the last 24, 48 hours, not a team that we talk about a lot because, quite frankly, and this is no disrespect to certain listeners to this podcast, there may be one of them, Manly Seagulls. We don't often bring them up unless I'm on a Seabold rant.
You haven't done that for a long time.
No. Yeah. Cherry Evans.
It's almost as if you forgot about what he did to your team.
Well, yeah. I'm starting, my therapist said I should start building bridges, so I'm doing that. It's the situation with Cherry Evans, and we sort of, I think, 37 years old. Basically, his line coming out is that he doesn't want to commit to Manly. He says Manly need to think of the future. Subsequently, different voices have come out basically saying that Cherry Evans would love nothing better than to leave today. And which makes, I find it really strange that, let's face it, this guy would have 2 years left in him. Fair?
Yeah, based on his, though he's older than pretty much everyone else in the NRL, and the human body in most cases can't stand up to what an NRL player goes through. He's had very few injuries over a long career. He's well over the 300 games already.
Most cap player for Manly. What must be going on at that club that a guy like Cherry Evans has basically said there's no offer you could make me? Well, it's amazing. Seabold's been very quiet on this. The Manly Seagulls said we're going to make him an offer. We just hadn't got it ready yet. That's rugby league talk for. We weren't going to make him an offer, and we hope he was going to retire. I think this is a really sad state of affairs where a guy like Cherry Evans, and look, love him or hate him, I think he's got immense talent. A guy like him, this guy should finish at the top. Should finish at the Seagulls.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, I mean he's a club legend. It's an interesting. I obviously, as you would have followed this pretty closely after it came out. But from what I can gather, Manly sort of said to him over the summer, if someone makes you an offer, let us know, and we'll make a counter offer.
In other words, yeah.
I'm not a businessman, Shane.
No, neither am I.
It seems like bad business.
That does, and and I'm going to say something here, and this isn't me. Trust me, I built the bridge. The buck stops with the coach. This information comes from the coach himself. The coach himself would be saying this to the club, right? If the coach wanted him there, the coach would say, make him a very good offer he can't refuse. He's probably going to get a job at the club anyway. Make him an offer that's
maybe his job, Shane.
What's that?
Maybe his job.
Yeah. Well, far out. It goes to show you can strategically shave a monkey to become a friggin' NRL coach. Anyway, I think that you'd think that in some way you would talk with his management and go, look, we've got to enact a retirement plan here. We also have young people coming up. Humphreys from South wanted to stay at Manly, and he goes, I can't stay there while Cherry Evans is there, and that's a fair call. He came to South, and he's playing halfback, and he's doing brilliant things at South, and he's in just 3 games. But
he's probably been their best player
by far. Most tackles by a halfback in the NRL in Rugby League. He got the other day. I couldn't believe it. And would you believe it? I thought they said the NRL series. Then they started talking about players way back when. Mind you, I think a couple of players did it last week anyway. But I'm just saying that you would think for this guy, they would say, right, let's get his management, get him in the round table. We've really got to hail the fact, and his retirement has to be big. His last game for Manly, his last game of his career, we need Brookie. You couldn't buy a ticket, even if you were the King of England. You couldn't get one because we needed that. That's not going to happen. He's going to bow out at Manly, and he's going to bow out at Manly. He's going to leave Manly, probably go to Redcliffe. I know he said he's got to think about his family. You wouldn't be sticking around Sydney, really.
Well,
I don't know. Like
my thought is he'll end up a Rooster, but we shall see.
Yeah, jeez. I just think that there's in rugby league we do so many good things. Like when you look at Vegas and you look at what we're doing with the women's game, and you look at what we're doing, across the board, initiatives where we're trying to create safe communities and this, and then you look at what's happening here and you're going, what the is going on? Anyway, something I am excited about, Griff. Something I am excited about. And I'm excited because when I see this, I think back, I close my eyes and I'm a 9-year-old kid again, right? I'm a 9-year-old kid watching rugby league at God knows what hour, watching people like Wally Lewis and Mal Meninga running Brad Clyde, all these cracking players from our past. One of the great international rivalries. In 2025, we're going to see a historic return of the Ashes. A 3-test Ashes series played across England in October and November. And I don't know whether I'm excited because I'm a 9-year-old kid again, or whether I'm excited because I think this is what we need to reinvigorate rugby league. There were some cracking series back then, weren't they?
Shane, you talk about kids, and I was a kid a long time ago, back in the last millennium. It's a long time since I even had hair on my head back then. I used to wake up, usually I'd probably have some sleep and wake up to watch in the middle of the night.
It was the middle of the night, yeah.
Yeah, like my memory goes back to 1978 that I started watching the Kangaroos play in the north of England against Great Britain. Back in those days, they also played club sides as well.
Yep. Yes, yep. That's right.
I mean, it was every 4 years.
Yes.
And it was the pinnacle.
It was cracking
of rugby league. This is before, but also during State of Origin. This was the pinnacle, where the two dominant nations in rugby league, and I'm not trying to pretend that there's not a lot of nations that play it, but particularly back then, would meet. So the Kangaroos would tour Britain on the, so let's say 1978. Then 2 years later, the British would come out here and play, like the cricket. So on a 4-year turnaround, although I think the cricket they've made it sort of 3 years because it's so popular. But every 4 years, the Kangaroos would travel to Great Britain and France back then. And it was must-watch TV for a rugby league supporter. I remember listening to Frank Hyde on the radio, and he would have his tours, and then later on others as well would I was too young to sort of do those tours, but it's something that I might even consider. I don't know, maybe even this year. See what I got happening that time of the year. But yeah, the pinnacle of rugby league, the Kangaroo Tour, it is back. I believe, and I'm just trying to find the schedule, but it's just going to be 3 test matches, and that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Like, we've moved on. It's a different era now. So 3 test matches. The first is Saturday, October 25 at Wembley Stadium in London. The second is listed as Saturday, 1 November at Everton Stadium, Liverpool. Now,
wow,
I'm believing that is the new stadium that is home to the Everton Football Club, or will be. It's not yet. They're still at Goodison Park. And the last one is at Headingley in Leeds, a traditional rugby league venue. So they've got 1 test, the first test in London. I'll tell you what, I might have to look into
I'll tell you what, but have you seen, like, because, yeah, have you seen that new Everton Stadium?
I've not. No.
Oh, because once I heard about this, I sort of did some Googling. It's cracking. It's a cracking looking stadium. It's
okay.
It's actually really, really cool. And interestingly enough, Everton Football Club have actually put on their website that the new Waterfront home will host the decisive second test on the 1st of November. That's on their website. That's on the Everton Football Club website.
This is so exciting. I
tell you what,
I knew it was going to happen at the end of the year. I just didn't realize until I looked it up now what the schedule is.
I actually, if you're a football fan, I know I call it football. Sorry, soccer.
Yeah.
If you're a football fan and you like looking at stadiums and everything, I think Wayne Rooney does a visit to the Everton Stadium, and sort of has a look. It's pretty cool. It's actually
all
really,
right. Do you know what the capacity is there, Shane? Approximately.
I heard on the grapevine. Now let me have a think about this, because I did hear that it was somewhere. It's bigger than I thought, because I think I think I heard something just in the order of just over 52,000.
Okay, now that's a good size.
Like I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I heard it's like an odd number. It's like 52. 888. I think that's the number I heard.
All right.
And I think the home end, I think they've done it so like the home end is like 13,000.
All right.
Yeah, it's like it's a cracking looking stadium. Like it's one of those things where, and like I said, if you're into football and you like watching that kind of thing, I'm reinvigorated with the Premier League because Newcastle United finally won something.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to
congratulate you. Black and White Army.
First time in 70
That's
years.
right. They finally won something. I think of when Rabbitoh Jazz would go to their games and watch them play, and yes, it's a long time. It's a long time coming, but
wow.
Yeah, I think this. I actually
that's older than me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's almost as long as the Parramatta Eels' drought.
Yeah. I think they're going to challenge that one, by the way.
The way they're playing at the moment, far out. Gee whiz.
Just getting back to that schedule.
Yep.
So you got one game in the capital in London. Now expats are going to get around that. There's a lot of expats.
Yeah.
In London, you've got one game in Lancashire. That's at Liverpool.
Yep.
Which is not really a well, when I was going to say it's not really the traditional rugby league area, but St Helens.
Yeah, it's sort of like got that
right next to Liverpool.
Yeah, it's got that hub, sort of a hub there. I think Liverpool, like I always think when they do games at Liverpool, it's because I think surrounding Liverpool is like a rugby league hub. Not Liverpool.
That is correct. So
yeah, Liverpool itself probably not so much, but around it,
St Helens is basically
Yep.
Liverpool. And then the other game is in Yorkshire at Leeds, really a traditional home of rugby league at Headingley.
Yeah.
So it's a great schedule. I'll have to. People keep asking me where's my next trip, and
could be to England.
I don't know. I might catch because the EPL season will be, backing up and running at that time. I have to think about that one.
But you know what?
So excited.
It's so cherry ripe for what is happening. Like, the success of rugby league globally. The reinvigorate like rugby league in England is starting to get this like snowball effect. Since it went to, it's funnily enough, it's starting to get like this snowball effect where people are getting really interested in rugby league again. It's almost like it's almost like it's Vegas and everything about it, and being able to watch, I think, the NRL and watch players come and go. I think for me, like I love following the Super League, and for me, where the Super League was at its lowest was when half-assed Australian players were paid a mozza to go over there and not perform. They weren't like when Joey Johns went over there or people before him. We now have really quality players going over there and playing really quality football, and vice versa. We're starting to see the players come out here, and whilst I would love Sam Burgess to be at South Sydney, coaching at South Sydney, being a part of our club, I think him being over there, he's telling people about what the NRL means and how. And he's trying to build a club, and I think he's doing a very good job. His idea is to build a club that's not to Super League standard, but to NRL standard. And I know that was Maguire when he went over there. Maguire said, I'm not building this club to be the standard. I want to build an NRL standard club. And I think this, look, I want to say I can't wait, but that means the rugby league season's over. I can wait. But I just think this is brilliant. I think this is such good timing by both England and Australia, and I think this is going to be fantastic. I told a lie. I don't think it was 1990. I was 10 years old when they played over there. I think that's right. So I think that's right. 1990, they were in great. 88, they were here. Because they were here in 88. I remember they were here in 88. And I think we went over there in 90.
That will be right. Because it was 82, 86, 90, 94.
Well, I think there was a time there, Griff. And I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. I think from 84 through to about 94... they were actually doing it every 2 years. Because I think
that was because it was reciprocal.
That's right. There was one in Great Britain, one in Australia.
So we go
there. That's right. That's right.
It
was like Australia was every 4 years, and Great Britain was every 4 years, and then we had like those two in. I think we had those two in like 01 and 03, which
things changed, and then it just sort of disappeared, unfortunately.
I'm just going to do a little bit of Googling. Hang on.
Just while you're Googling, I'll throw in my thoughts on the DCE situation.
Yep.
I'm past when I was a kid. Manly with a team everybody hated. I don't hate Manly.
No, there's so many other Queensland teams to hate now.
That's right. Yeah. So their CEO, Mr. Mestrov, he's not come out of this too well. I mean, he's representative of the club, but he's the one that's got to carry the can. Yeah. And this is definitely a mess. Cherry Evans is their second best player after Tommy Turbo. And if you want someone, you don't say to them, look, we sort of respect your what you want to do, whatever it is. If you get an offer from someone, let us know. Well, you're automatically saying to that person, we don't want you.
I think it's not a great. I don't think it's a great look. Because you know what? I think a better look would have been, we're going to offer you this, right? If another club out there wants to pay you more, come and chat to us. This is our initial offer. Right? Now, initial offer might be, I don't know, it could be 300,000. Who knows? Like, I think it'd be more, but the thing is, I think they've played this so poorly with a guy who is a club legend. Like, he's not Johnny come lately. He's someone who actually, he backflipped from a deal to stay, his integrity. I think they were hoping
he might still have the backflip in him at 36 years ago, 37
maybe.
Next year.
Like, his integrity was significantly questioned to stay at Manly, and you think to yourself, well, at the very least, you could throw this guy a bone and say, we're going to offer you $400,000 a year, right? You got
that
2 years.
Be an insult, but...
Just hear me out. You got 2 years left in you. We got a salary cap, so we've got to protect the club. When you leave rugby league, so next 2 years you play 2 years out, we give you all the fanfare. You are on our books as a coach, and we can pay you whatever you want. We can pay you $8, $9, $1 million. Right? And it's not part of our cap, it's just part of, you're an employee to us. Could you imagine the coaching he would be able to give young players at Manly coming through? The guys, look, I'm not saying this, I think Cherry Evans is an exceptional player. No, I'll say this, the guy has a great kicking game. The guy has a great field of vision when it comes to rugby league field. He can look up and see the matrix. The only thing with Cherry Evans now where you go, okay, why isn't he as brilliant as he was? Because he's 36. He gets hold of a 19-year-old and goes, right, let's work with you. If he's their half coach, I'm telling you now, if he's their halves and back coach, watch out. Because he has so much to offer. I just think that, Manly, they haven't even seen the forest for the trees. They don't understand that once this guy is off their playing roster, they can pay him whatever he wants. And people go, oh, well, they'll get audited. No, you won't. This is what good clubs do. They get their older players who are in the twilight of their years but still playing exceptional football, and they pay them unders because they know down the track they'll get paid overs in a system where the salary cap does not count. So, not only have they sort of snubbed their nose at the legend, they haven't even done good business sense. They could have nailed this so much better, and they've done it so poorly.
Well, when it was announced, I believe on 360, I haven't watched 360 much this year. I didn't watch it that night, but I've heard, listen to a lot of radio.
I've got to be honest with you, Griff. I don't watch a lot of that show anymore.
Yeah, I watched.
I should get back to it. Maybe it's worthwhile.
Other than the actual games, but when it was announced that he wasn't going to be there, because Manly hadn't made an offer, apparently they got on the phone to one of the journalists at the time and said, no, we're going to offer him this. This is on live TV. I don't know if he knew that or not, or he'd heard that, but that's what happened.
It's like deal or no deal.
Yeah.
The price is right.
Then Cherry Evans himself appeared on the Channel 9 show, whatever it's called, 100%.
Oh, yeah, that I watched. I didn't watch it, but I watched. That was awkward. That was a bit awkward.
I didn't see it, but, I've heard clips from it, and he said, respectfully.
Yes, he did.
Decline the offer. So this is being played out on television. It's crazy. That's not the way to conduct a professional sporting organisation. Now, my concern is that Manly, who are they're not in the right at the favourites of the competition. They're just outside those top 4 teams. They're a chance of winning this competition. This is now really going to throw their 2025 campaign into quite a spin, I would think.
Of course it will. Because you know what? You're going to have Cherry Evans and his management negotiating with other clubs. Then you got to talk about how other players feel about a guy. Like, mate, I saw it at South with Reynolds. When you get rid of the glue that holds things together, it is tough. And you know what? There's a part of me that says they still haven't recovered. And for someone like Cherry Evans, it's simple. It's just poor business sense. And he's resigned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he goes, no, I'm not signing with this club.
Yeah.
Like, you can offer me the world and then more. I'm not signing with you. And you think to yourself, and I feel for the fans. I feel for the other thing that frustrates me is go to your, I always say this, like in business, right? And in leadership and in coaching, I always say go to your stats. Go to what makes your organization awesome. Okay? Go to its history. And you see people, and you see people's names, and these names keep reoccurring. And you go, they're the people you need to treat so well. Because they've built the culture they've built your system, they've built your club, they've built your organization. Man, if a young person was to pick up what we used to have, if you pick up a book, not many people pick up books anymore. But if you to pick up something or search the Manly Seagulls, how many times does Daly Cherry Evans' name appear? They're the people you've got to protect. They're the people you've got to give. Sometimes you've got to bend stuff for them. Sometimes you've got to find a bit of extra cash because they're the glue that held everything together. And when you crap on that, your organisation is in trouble. I don't care what anyone says. Manly will not get spat out at the end of this well. And I know Manly had a great win on the weekend and Ruben Garrick played, he probably played the game of his career. But, that's one game. You now got to, you got to now back this up. You got to fix this in the look, mate. You got to fix this in the dressing room. You got to address this. This guy is going to leave this club. He said it on. Most people say it to their teammates inside. He said it on national television. What bad blood? What annoyance must have gotten into him to say on national television, I'm not signing with this club. This club that he has put so much in, there must. I think, I just feel. I don't like to say I feel for Manly fans, but I do because I know what it's like, and I know if the fans, I know the average fan shouldn't touch a rugby league club because they'd have no idea what they're doing. But most fans can see when a player leaving a club is just wrong. And I think with this, it's just wrong. Anyway.
It was done very differently to how, and like, for example, the Panthers have lost a host of absolute prime talent over the last few years. But it's been done in such a way that it's been seamless, and they've gone on and won competitions.
I think also with the Panthers, the difference is the Panthers are very transparent, and I actually thought about the Panthers in all this, probably because they're going to belt South this week, maybe. But I thought about the Panthers in this because I said to myself, the Panthers have lost people like Luai Junior, who's done and the Panthers are very transparent. They're like, we have a significant problem because we have grown so much talent. The people who did this first, and they did it exceptionally well, were Melbourne. We've created all this talent, but the cap forces us into a position where we can't keep certain people. Like, I remember Bellamy, he was brilliant at it. And he was the first coach to ever put it so eloquently, where he'd say, we can't keep everyone. We're part of a salary cap situation. What we need to do now is we need to, get rid of people like Greg Inglis. But understand, we are developing someone to take his place. Will that be Greg Inglis? No, there's only one Greg Inglis. But when we develop someone to take his place, that person has a role. And you know what? Melbourne have been doing this for years. Penrith have had to do it now. And they do it so well, but I think Manly have just missed the mark here. They have not read the room.
No.
They have not read the room. But you know what the good news is, Griff?
I think you're going to tell me there's some games on starting Thursday night.
We've got some games coming up this week. And starting tomorrow night, we've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on...
Tomorrow night. That's right. Today's Wednesday. So
today's Wednesday, yes. Today's Wednesday. So tomorrow, Thursday night, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the Panthers from Penrith. In what's going to be an interesting game for both clubs. The Panthers would want their defence not to show any more than 30. That's what they're averaging at the moment. It's been quite a few years since then. However, the South Sydney Rabbitohs will want to get their defence into some sort of structure, and the loss of Campbell Graham, both teams losing key players, Campbell Graham and Nathan Cleary, out for both these teams, for Penrith and for South Sydney. I'll get you to talk about Jack Cole and Trent Torrelau. Is that how you say his name? Torrelau?
Torrelau. Yeah.
For South Sydney, key in will be Alex Johnson. He's back on the wing. Isaiah Tass moving. Michaele Ravalawa, if you want to do yourself a favour, Rugby League fans, especially if you're a St. George fan, do this for me. Go on to the NRL website and watch. I think it was the third try from the Sharks, where Ravalawa backed himself into the in-goal without remotely wanting to touch the player who was scoring the try. It was slightly comical. If you don't go for South, you would have wet yourself laughing. If you go for South, you would have wanted a new TV because you probably threw your glass through it. What that guy's doing there is Wayne Bennett. Look, he's awesome. I'm not going to hassle Wayne. Dead. Jesus Christ, Anyway, there's no real other in for South Sydney. Of course, Lewis Dodd is on an extended bench. He's getting a lot of airplay because South Sydney paid a mozza for him, and he's playing in the Reggies. For the Penrith Panthers, like I said, Dane Laurie in at fullback. That's pretty much confirmed. Interestingly enough, South doesn't have a coach according to the NRL, which the way they played last week, that's pretty much confirmed. Because if you coach that stuff, that's in trouble. That's pretty much it. If you look at it, Dane Laurie is in at number 1. Trent Torrelau is in at number 7. The forward pack, of course, is just awesome as always. Just looking around to see. Now, Luke Summerton, he's on an extended bench, I would assume, with Matt Eisenhuth. That is exactly right. As with Penatani and Thomas Fletcher for South Sydney. I'll let you talk to this game, Griff, because I think the Penrith Panthers will be too good for South Sydney. I will, in my tips, pick South as always, but the Penny Panthers will have the runs on the board, I think, Griff. Tell me about Penrith.
Well, I'm just going to talk. I'm going to wind the clock back to last Thursday, where we saw the two teams who fought out the October Grand Final last year come together. And whenever these two teams come together, you expect a great game, and no one would have been disappointed because it was a fantastic game.
Great game. Great game.
The Melbourne Storm, they hit the front early, and I think it was 8-0 when Cleary got injured, so they're already in the lead, the Storm, and then it went to 14-0. I think Cleary was off the field by that stage because he was off very early, and it looked as though, wow, this is going to get really ugly. I tipped the Storm. I didn't think Penrith could win this game. Well, I thought there were a chance, but I thought Melbourne on their home ground, they've had a week off. They bring back Big Nelson. Penrith were already missing Dylan Edwards. I didn't expect they could go down to Melbourne and win that game. And down 8-0, and then Cleary goes off, and think, wow, this is going to get ugly. But to their credit, they dug in. And I have never been so happy after a game that my team has lost.
Yeah, fair call. They played well. And you know what? The black sheep of the family, who does go for the Penrith Panthers.
Ashley.
The Penrith Panthers, Ash.
He of the dark hair.
He that's true. Although it's a bit more salt and pepper now.
Okay.
He did say that it's funny, when Cleary went off, it was like as if to say, well, we're probably not going to win. Let's just go out and play football. And then looking at the game, you think, yeah, that's exactly what they did.
Right. Look, they stepped up.
They did. And it was like...
Jack Cole was, I thought, he had a bad start to the game. He couldn't kick the ball out from a penalty twice.
Yeah.
They got lucky on one occasion. But
knock on, yep.
That happened again. I mean, almost unforgivable. But he was able to get over those initial yips, and I thought he was outstanding. Maybe it was just me, because I looked at the Dally M points from this game. Cam Munster got 5, and I couldn't argue that. I think Jerome Hughes got 3, which meant one judge thought he was the man of the match. And then there was one Panther that got a point, Paul Alamotti, and Liam Henry got a point. And I think another Melbourne player got maybe 2 points. I don't know.
Don't start me on this system, Griff. Don't start me on this system.
Okay, I won't start you. But I didn't actually look at that till maybe yesterday or the day before. And I thought Brian Toto was outstanding last week as well.
He had one of the best comeback games.
Yeah, because you
could ever have. Like he showed the culture of Penrith. His comeback game, because let's face it, the week before was not a great outing.
He had a poor night.
But
he couldn't
know what?
Stay up on his feet.
I thought that his comeback game, I thought that showed some grit and character from him.
Yeah. So I was really impressed with what Penrith dished up after, not a great start to the game. And it was 5 tries apiece. And Penrith really, they stripped Melbourne out wide for most of their tries,
did.
Actually.
It was actually rare. The Penrith don't do that. Penrith go through the middle, and their backline passing was sharp.
It was very sharp, and it wasn't the week before. I'll let you know.
No, that's fair call.
That wasn't a great. They had probably their worst game in many years against the Roosters, who deserved their win the week before.
Very true.
I've got to say, it was basically reserve grade Roosters, and anyway, that was the week before. the thing about this game is that the Panthers, even though they were, I thought they were very, very good against the Storm, all that matters is what happens on the ladder. So it's a must win. They have to win this game. They don't want to be 1-3 because you're starting to fall out of touch. I mean, for a team to win the grand final, you've really got to be in the top 4. And you've got to take into account that down the track, State of Origin comes around, Penrith is going to be fielding, pretty much second-string sides. You have to bank your points early in the season. That gives you just that little bit of wriggle room that you're not under the pump heading into the finals. So this is a must-win. Now, I want to credit the Rabbitohs. They're on 4 points already. And I didn't think they were going to beat. I think I might have tipped them against the Dolphins. Maybe I probably didn't. But in that game, the Dolphins got on top and looked like they were going to win. South dug in and they won. They had no right to beat the Dragons, but they won. These are the sorts of points.
I was at Wollongong for that.
Well, that's of course, yeah. Well, there you go. That would have been.
Mate,
it was probably not looking too good.
Can I just say that everyone in the ground was bewildered. No matter what jersey you were wearing, you were bewildered by that game.
Oh, it was a capitulation from.
It was. They were horrible.
But to South's credit, they got the points, and that put them in a position where when they, Latrell will be back in the not too far distant future. Yes. Cam Murray, we don't know if he's going to be back at all. But maybe
Cam Murray's done for the season. He will not be back. He will not be back.
But those sorts of wins, they weren't getting those wins last year. They had a horrible start to the season. But they've had a good start. Cronulla were good last week and probably exposed them a little bit in defence. Penrith, they've got to win this game. It's that effort against Melbourne is going to count for not a whole lot if they come out this week and don't beat the Rabbitohs.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to tip them, but again, I look at this team and two of the key players in their success in the spine in Nathan Cleary, who's the best player in the NRL, and Dylan Edwards, who's the current Australian number 1. They're both out. Now, if they can replicate what happened last week, they win the game. Souths are a gritty team now. And that's sort of symbolised by their fullback, who's been absolutely outstanding, Jai Gray. Now, there was a question mark on, was he, obviously he's been named. I thought, did he get into trouble for something last week?
Yeah, so he done a hip drop.
Right.
He got fined.
Just a fine. Okay, so he's definitely playing.
He's right to play.
Well, that's a big boost for them because if he had been out, they would have there would have been some trouble.
Been cricket score.
When you're picking a guy like, then I don't want to go too hard on Ravalawa because I might end up with egg all over my face.
No, you won't. You won't.
Look, he can be devastating with ball in hand. The problem for McKaylee is when ball is not in hand, he doesn't have too much idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Alex Johnson coming back from an Achilles injury. Well, they wouldn't play him if he wasn't fit, but I think he's going to be tested as well.
Yep.
We saw last week that the Sharks out wide did a lot of damage. We'll see what happens. We'll see one of the guys who's really impressed me this year is Paul Alamotti. He's building confidence from a great game in the grand final, and he's become quite an attacking weapon. And he was very, very good last week against the Storm. I'm going to tip Penrith. I was a little surprised to see Casey McLean relegated to 18th man. I guess it's a reward for Tom Jenkins, who played really well, out of position at fullback, and Monster seized on that. That was what won him the man of the match, was the fact that he realised There's an inexperienced fullback. He put kicks into positions where the Storm scored 3 tries from kicks, and that won him the game. Jenkins in the centres, he'll do a good job, but I think in attack, maybe McLean would worry the Rabbitohs a bit more. But that being said, I'm still tipping the Panthers, Shano.
Yeah, look, I can talk about I'll talk about South Sydney for a quick tick. Look, what are we going to see from South Sydney this week? I think the biggest problem with South Sydney this week is that Campbell Graham's out. So Campbell Graham's out this week. He has really, whenever teams go one side, they don't go Campbell Graham's side. My biggest problem is this week they now have, look, Jack Whiten back. I thought Jack Whiten played all right last week. A guy who I thought played also well was Cody Walker. We should have been done by 50 last week and we weren't. And I think that's more about how South Sydney's... Now that's Wayne Bennett sort of making them a bit more gritty than what they were last year. The forward pack for South is doing a decent job. I actually, Tallis Duncan's in at lock at 13. I would love to see Jai Arrow move to 13, Tallis Duncan off the bench. That's no disrespect to Tallis Duncan. I think he's a great player. I just think
you're his biggest fan.
I love him, but I just think that sometimes, you're starting against Isaiah Yeo. Like, mate, that's it's like meeting Elvis. If you're a lock, that you got some royalty against you. In saying that, Liam Martin and Scott Sorensen in the second row, and maybe you need Colin Matangi there. I think Peter Mamazelos has done a very good job at hooker. You've got Humphreys, who's done some great work at halfback.
He's been very good.
He's been very good. And I think, Jai Gray, in his first 2 games, he was averaging 300 metres per game. Interestingly enough, number 14 for South Sydney, Jaden Sullivan. He's wearing red and green. We support everyone that wears the red and green. I hope Coach Bennett... Well, I think Coach Bennett probably has a game plan and a system for Jaden. And what he wants Jaden to do. That's going to be very interesting. I can't wait to see it. Our bench is very... Look, we've got Havili and Liam LeBlanc. Havili, good player. Liam LeBlanc, bench player. Tavita Totola still coming off the bench. Probably because he's still not 100%. It's fair to say we leak a lot of points when Tavita Totola is not on the field. And I think that maybe it's time, I don't know, for him to start. But, Wayne, I'm not going to tell Wayne Bennett what to do. He's the man. So, look, I'm going to pick South because they're the team. And you know how I roll. But in saying that, I think this is going to be such a tall order. I think Penrith understand their situation. They understand what's going on. They know exactly what they need to do. The only thing I'll say about Penrith is I've never seen a Penrith Panthers team have 90 points against after 3 rounds. That's unique.
Yeah, their defense has not been good this year.
And that's unique. And I think that if we, I think that's a testament to Penrith that, they'll dig themselves out of this. But for South Sydney, holding the ball will be one thing. Completions is massive. They're doing well at that. But last week, I think they had 48 missed tackles. And I don't know the stats on it, but I reckon if someone was to get it up, South Sydney would be one of the highest missed tackle counts in the league. And you can't do that against Penrith. If Penrith's reserve grade side ran on the field and played South Sydney and they missed 48 missed tackles, South Sydney would lose. So it's about getting the tackling done right at 6 p.m. And I'm
sorry, Shan, I just want to bring... Sorry, just something I remembered. A little bit of an aside, I guess, but you're very close with Claus, the Penrith mascot.
Yes, I am.
He's also someone that is a very good friend of mine.
Yes.
I sent him a text today because I was concerned that to find out if Claus was going to be there tomorrow night, because there's a rogue rabbit out there.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure, he was, ready for that. Said he's not on tomorrow night, so I don't know, if it's because of the rogue rabbit. Reggie went a little rogue last week.
Yeah. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. Can I just say, I know that guy, and there was a period of time in my life I knew him very well. He's the nicest human being God could put breath into. He is a guy who volunteers at hospitals. He helps kids.
Yep.
When it happened, I thought it's going to come out he wasn't in the suit. Someone else was in the suit, and they went rogue. And to the point where we actually call I know Reggie Rabbit is the classic Reggie. We call him Charlie because that's his name.
Yep.
I could not I felt his pain when I saw him on TV. I know he's taken full responsibility. He put his hand up. I know that they went to the police and the police said, no, there's nothing, there's nothing here. I see a guy who has given so much to the community, not just the South Sydney community. The South Sydney community, he has, he deserves a stand named after him wherever South Sydney play. To the wider community, the kids, the people who he has volunteered and helped and done work for. I understand. Look, we work in a profession where if you were to push a kid, your job would be on the line. I love it how the news played that, and not the 50 million hours that he's volunteered. Not the 50 million hours that he's done all this work. He would be hurting. I don't know what happened. I don't know what he would, and there's some people say out there, well, good. He pushed a kid in the face. Okay. But you don't understand the lives he's touched and what he's done for people in his wider community that won't get any airplay, and he doesn't want it to get airplay. And like I said, there was once upon a time I knew him pretty well, and over the years I suppose my involvement with South Sydney waned quite a lot, and he's still quite current. But Charlie, when I saw it, I thought, that's out of character. That's not Charlie. And he came out and said, look, no more further investigation. I don't want anyone talking to the kid. I'm at fault. And that sort of tells me that he's the kind of guy that if the kid did say something to him, he wouldn't tell anyone. He'd be like,
I at no stage thought that there's not more to it. He's come out and, claim responsibility. I'm sure that there was stuff that went on before that.
Who knows? And
with that sort of costume on, there's big padding there. There's no injury. There's no chance of that. I mean, the guy's 125 centimeters, 81 years of age.
Yep. He's such, and I know people used to give him stick for, he'd do a little barrel roll and go, oh, what's that all about? And it's like, mate, that guy, I remember back in the day, there was a guy in front of us, he did a little barrel roll and put the thumbs up. And the guy goes, what's that all about? And I said, mate, that's a 70-odd-year-old bloke in that suit. I suppose people don't understand that the people in these mascot suits, right? It's a shit night for them. It's crap. It's hot. It's annoying. They go out in the pouring rain. They can't see crap. They're not there for the game because you don't see any of the game. They're there so that certain people, young people, can have a few photos. And you know what? If you go to the Football Every Pancake Tuesday, like when I was a kid, it would make your night to have your photo with that. Like like I got photos of my girls with Charlie, and dressed up in the Rabbitohs outfit, and I'm lucky enough he still recognises my face. So when he walks around, he gives me a handshake and a hug, and I just think these, putting crap on mascots is not where we should be diverting our energy. And I'm not saying that's what that kid did. I don't know what that kid did, but I've been at football games where mascots have been absolutely ploughed by opposition fans, and you think to yourself, "Come on, mate! That guy went to a Sharks game to make sure that South Sydney fans had someone he could high five, and he high fives everyone." I'm telling you now, it is the most out of character thing, and for every mascot out there, and every club has one. It is the shittest job on the rugby league field that night, apart from getting smashed by a 120 kilo bloke taking a hit up. You don't see the game, you can't see crap, you don't know where you're going. When it's raining, you're wet. When it's 100 degrees, you're hot. But you're there so that the fans have an awesome experience. And yet, no one highlights that. And when I think of the things that these people give their time, they're giving people. And when one of them, okay, yeah, all right, he pushed a kid. Since then, he said, I don't want the kid to be taken to task. It's my fault. It's just leave everything alone. 100% me. And whatever consequence I get, just throw it on me. Don't throw it on the kid. Even in the situation, he could say, all right, let's take the kid to task. What did he say? What did he do? He didn't do that. He said it's all about, it's my fault. I'm taking full responsibility. And I think that, like, I wasn't going to bring it up because I'd be like a $2 lawnmower. I'll shut up when the petrol runs out. But you could not meet one. He's one of the Earth's great good guys, and he does so much work in and around not just the South Sydney Football Club community, but the wider community to make people feel good. Like when there's a cancer kid that wants to meet a player, he's there. It's where all of us, we talk about how important our time is. His time is about giving, and as with all the mascots, they don't do it. People go, oh yeah, they get paid. No, they don't. Fuck yeah, I'm telling you now, right? And I'm ranting a little bit. The cheerleaders, the ball kids, the mascots, they're not getting paid, people. If they're getting paid absolute pittance for what they actually do. They're volunteers for the club. 99% of them are volunteers for the club. And if they are getting paid, they're getting paid a wage which is not equitable to their skills. So next time they come out, pay them some respect. When the cheerleaders come out and do their routine, watch it and clap them at the end. Don't be misogynistic and stupid about it. Be real. They've got talent. When the mascot comes around, don't talk about how shit the club's going. How about you just give them a high five and say, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here for the kids. When the ball boys running or ball people, sorry, I shouldn't say ball boys, the people. There's more than one gender now. Running them out. Give them a clap. Give them a thumbs up for the work they do. Oh yeah, but they're the kid of someone. No, sometimes they're not. Sometimes their parents. Wait, I went to school with a kid. He wrote to the Penrith Panthers, I want to be a ball boy. All right, come on in. He was the ball boy for Penrith for quite a long time. And you know what? That was just on the back of saying I'm a Penrith fan and I want to help out. A lot of the people in the background that do the work get no recognition, yet they're the first people to get dumped on by fans. And look, I will never excuse wrong. I'll never excuse an action that's wrong, right? And the person, and Charlie who did this, admitted that he was wrong. But if you're going to show the 30 seconds of the wrong, okay, can you show the 50 hours of the good? Because you know what? Sometimes the wrong is bad and sometimes it needs to be held accountable. But likewise, don't in one sentence talk about the wrong but not acknowledge any of the good. And as teachers, we get that all the time. But anyway, that's my rant. Rant over. Roosters play the Titans.
No, it's well said, Shannon.
Roosters play the Titans. Because look, I'm connected to people who are mascots, who do cheerleading. And, clubs, people, and people around treat them like shit. And it's not fair. Roosters play the Titans on Friday at 6 o'clock. Apparently the weather's going to be fine.
Jiggity.
Giggity.
He was over in Auckland. I saw the sign.
Who did I see? What was the sign? Hang on, there was a cracking sign. You've just said.
A Manly one last week.
No, there was a cracking sign last week at the. We should do a song. We should
Manly, do everyone something about. We hate cancer too. Something.
Okay. There was a cracking one at the Warriors game. No, it was when the Wars won. A kid holding a sign made of cardboard said, and the Roosters went wah wah all the way home. I like that. That was clever.
That's good. That is clever.
We should have a sign of the week. And a friend of mine sent me back. I sent that to a friend of mine because we often laugh about the signs. And he sent back a Quagmire doing giggity, which was quite comical. Anyway, outs for both teams. Connor Watson and Ethan Roberts are out for the Roosters. Keanu Keeney is out for the Gold Coast Titans. It sees the Roosters. Zach Docker-Clay in at number 9. Interesting to see. Lindsay Collins pushed to an interchange place at number 17. It's basically, other than that, looks to me to be one. Nat Butcher back in for the Roosters. Billy Smith. Is Billy Smith playing at the replacement? So is Billy Smith's the replacement? I actually...
Man.
What's that?
18th man.
Yeah,
as it's listed.
Are you with me, Griff, that he might actually creep into the side?
It's possible.
I think, mate, I'd put him on an interchange bench any day of the week. Look, everyone else for the Titans appears to be 1 to 17, playing some very good football. Look, when I look at this game, I look at what the Roosters are producing at the moment with the troops they got. You've got some really good players for the Roosters stepping up and playing some good football. I think in week 1 they're exposed, but then come week 2 and 3 they've done some good work. I just question. Chad Townsend's doing a lot of defence at the moment, and he's doing it well. Don't get me wrong, but it just means it's sort of gassing him a bit. Look, I know the Roosters are favourites. I get that, but for me, I think this might be the week that breaks them. I got the Titans with no confidence. I know 50-50s. I choose the Roosters. I just think AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell in the halves, their forward pack is going well. For me, it's the guy David Fafita who's just, and Big Tino. I think this is a game made for someone like Big Tino to really do well. That's no disrespect to the Roosters. I think the Roosters have actually played out of their skin. And for me, have been the surprise packet so far. But, yeah, I don't know why I got the Titans, but I just do, Griff.
Well, Shane, I'm going to agree with you. I tipped the Titans when I did my tips this morning. I'm never confident tipping the Titans. I did tip them last week, and they got up. But the Roosters, for me, are very hard to pick. They had that fantastic game against Penrith, got smashed by the Broncos, and I only saw the KO mini last week, but I thought they'd go over there and beat the Warriors, but they had players coming back into the team, and they couldn't get the job done. They may win this week. It's a 50-50. You just don't know with the Titans. If both teams play their best football, I think the Titans actually win.
I agree with you.
Yeah. It's a pretty good forward pack that the Titans have assembled when you've got Laker, RCG up front and Tino in the middle, and then you've got Bo Fermor and Cleese Haas out wide. Veras is skillful, and then you bring on David Fifita in, and that's a big game for Fifita because, as we know, he seemed to be all agreed with the Roosters that he was going to make the trip to Bondi.
True. Very true.
And then reneged, which had he have come, Crichton was out the door because they wouldn't have been able to fit him under the cap. But as it turned out, he did a backflip himself and decided to stay on the coast. So it's a big game for Fifita. I'm going to stick with the Titans. They do have Keanu Kinney, who's a very good player, out with now a question mark with a neck injury. Jalen de Groot comes in. I believe he's the grandson of the guy that cut the ribbon on the Harbour Bridge.
Is he?
I'm going to say that he is.
I love it.
And then, they got young Francis, who may have made his debut or might have played a game last year, who's in for Alofi Khan Pereira. So they're not quite at full strength, but it's a good-looking side if they put it together, the Gold Coast.
Now, I've been trying, even when he played rugby, I tried to practice his name. Noah Kawantawase, sorry. I think he's had actually a fantastic start to his NRL career. He's
quite a unit, Shano. I saw him live.
Really? Yes, of course. He actually has had a. I think that he. I know like early on. I know that early on when he played, he looked a bit like a fish out of water, but he now actually looks like a rugby league player who's playing some good football.
Yeah.
I think that the centre and wing 3/4 he's up against need to watch out. I think he's a guy who's actually done some really good stuff for the Roosters, and I take my hat off to him because you know what, we always used to pump our chest when players went to rugby and did well. Here's one that's come from rugby, and I think he's actually played some good football. So I think hats off to him. I think he's a strong looking dude on field. Up close, he must be impressive. On 8 o'clock on Friday, we have the Redcliffe Dolphins. I'm always going to call them the Redcliffe Dolphins, people, and you know it. Versing the Brisbane Broncos. 15th plays 5th. No significant out. However, Katoni Staggs is in for the Broncos. Marty Tapau will be seen on an extended bench. So be interesting to see if anything further happens there. For the Dolphins, it's business as usual. Look, the Broncos are just such a different beast this year. They're so different. The way they play is different. The way they go about their business is different. They look far more steely than they ever have done. Adam Reynolds is going to be able to kick them in and out of trouble. Ben Hunt doing his thing. I love their back line. I just think it's got such good potential with Reece Walsh. The Dolphins back line, the Hammer, Asako, they really need to use them well. My biggest problem with the Dolphins is their halves, Cody Nikorima and Katoa. I just don't think they drive the ship as well, which means that Jeremy Marshall-King feels like he's got to do far more than he needs to. And Tom Gilbert sometimes comes in and tries to energise the side when really he's a lock. He should be doing the lock's job, but when he does a good job. I can't pick a position or an area where the Broncos don't outdo the Dolphins. I've got the Broncos winning this one, and I've got them winning well. Griff, are you in agreement?
Well, I don't rate this Dolphins side. I've seen them go around 3 times, and they've had 3 losses. Not playing against the top liners. They've been beaten by...
Yeah, true. That's
South
very true.
In the first round. They were beaten by the West Tigers. They had a good lead and lost that game. And then last week, I know... Last week. Who beat them last week, Shane? Oh, that was the Tigers last week.
Tigers last week. Yeah, Tigers. It was 30-18. Tigers.
Yeah.
The Dolphins got 18 points, but the Tigers made their defense look horrible.
I'm trying to think of the other team that beat them. Might have been the Bulldogs. I think it was. Yeah, in round 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant the Tigers.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they got a decent side, decent 13 on paper. I think it falls away a bit in the bench. The Broncos got too much class, and they're playing a stronger brand of rugby league than they were under the previous coach. I think they might do a bit of a number on the Dolphins. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see the Dolphins win the game, even though I'm going to tip the Broncos. And they're playing at Suncorp.
Yep, Suncorp.
Battle of Brisbane. I think actually the Battle of Brisbane they won last year.
They did.
But yeah, this team just doesn't seem to be firing for 80 minutes. They can put together patches of games and look good, but they just can't get the job done for 80 minutes. And I think it's going to be a long year for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Dolphins are in a little bit of trouble. 3 o'clock. They get another 3 o'clock game, St. George Dragons. St. George Illawarra Dragons, Illawarra Steelers, whatever you like to call them. At Jubilee Stadium in Sydney, in Cogra.
They call that a stadium?
They do.
That's a bit rich.
Yeah, there's
stadium?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's certain locations I would call toilets rather than stadiums. But anyway, Jubilee Stadium in Cogra. They say it's in Sydney. It's in Cogra. We see the St. George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Melbourne Storm. I suppose the key outs for the Storm. Jerome Hughes, Big Nelson, Asafa Solomona, and Nick Meaney is out.
What happened to him? Is he suspended or?
Big Nelson.
Yeah, did he get suspended?
I don't know. I
breaking Nick Meaney's jaw.
I think he did. He must have.
I think you get cited when you break your own player's jaw.
I don't know. He must have got. I
didn't realise.
Maybe he got a fine. Maybe
he might have done something else.
Maybe that's a fine. Although you know what, coming back from injury,
he's not there. That's the bottom line.
They were concerned he was slightly underdone. So maybe look. You know what though? Okay, can I be somewhat disrespectful to St. George? Big Nelson come back from injury, played a pretty intense game against Penrith. Probably deserves a rest. You're playing St. George. Well, far out. If Melbourne's second tier players can't get the job done against St. George, well, then maybe you got bigger problems. And that's what they're probably thinking. You got Cam Munster and Tyron Wishart. Tyron Wishart, he's the utility man. He's coming in at halfback. You've got Josh King in a prop, Sean Blaw, Katoa in on second row, which brings Bronson Garlick in on the bench, Alan McDonald, Kamilian, and the dead rising in Lazarus. Back. Yeah, he's Lazarus back. Is back. The dead has risen. Lazarus is returned.
And Jesus doesn't have to weep anymore.
Jesus doesn't have to weep anymore. So we got that for them. Key ins for and I was really interested to see what they would do with David Clemmer. David Clemmer's jumped straight on the interchange bench. Why I find that interesting is that you've also got Dylan Egan on the interchange bench, and Tom Eisenhuth is 21 reserve, who was I thought one of their more solid players last year. But anyway, that's what
I guess they're going for youth and
maybe
speed around the rock. Look, Tom, he is a carpool favourite, but he's a carpool favourite, but he's 30 these days.
He's old. He is on there. Look, for both these teams, I think they've, like I said in the last one, I think when you look across the two teams, the Storm outplay in every position, and in the bench they actually more than outplay. They really dominate. I can't believe that the Dragons are 3.11. They should be out to $5. But anyway, the Storm for me, I think a lot of people are looking at the Storm against Penrith and going, well, they didn't put Penrith to the sword. I somewhat think that maybe Penrith's ability to come back was underestimated. I think the Storm are going to win this, and they're going to win it well. They're going to, Jubilee Stadium is not going to be the rocking place it usually is. I got a gut feeling Storm are going to do a number on today, and that's with people. And can I just do a shout out to Clint Gutherson? Clint Gutherson came into this side, and he has added so much. His energy and everything you watch in the game with this guy, you can understand why Parramatta fans were really upset when he was told to go. He has just added an energy and an exuberance to this team, even when they're down and even when they're doing stuff. And look, I know I watched him play a couple of weeks ago. He basically was pulling the strings. The tries, they were his. He was basically creating stuff. So whilst the Dragons are in trouble at the moment, Clint Gutherson's trying his heart out, but mate, the Storm's just going to run riot this week, Griff.
I do expect the Storm to win this game. I can't see a world where the Dragons get up. They did beat the Storm last year down in Melbourne, which sort of, I guess, puzzled everyone. But, the Storm are missing a couple of players, but you look at them 1 through to 17 and you think, well, it's going to be a rough afternoon for the Dragons because the Dragons couldn't beat the Rabbitohs. They couldn't beat the Bulldogs are a good side, but they were pretty soundly beaten by the Bulldogs. And then, they were able to get the 2 points against the bye last week, and that was a good win for them.
Because of my brother, I've had many a good, and we back in the day, we've had many a good evenings in Wollongong. I'm telling you now, the evening that South beat the Steelers a couple of weeks ago, that was one of the best. When they play in Wollongong, when they play in Illawarra, they're the Steelers. Can I also? It was hot as blazes.
Yeah.
That day it was insane. Big shout out.
No breeze off the.
No, not usually. I have sat on the hill. I remember watching South Sydney play Illawarra on the hill at 5:00 one time, and it was cold, wet. South lost 20-0. But can I just big shout out? mate, the crowd there, like, it was, and you know what, like, walking out, that team lost the game they should have won. There was even though it was quite jovial and we were talking, I thought it was a good crew of people I was talking to. So shout out to those guys. Sometimes when you go to a game,
well done, Dragons fans.
Yeah. Sometimes when you go to a game and you go, oh, all right, you're sort of walking up the street and they're going, oh, you got lucky, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other, and you can't turn around. We took all our family to that game, and it was a really, really good atmosphere. So thank you, Wynn Stadium. It was good. It was good. And if you've never been to Wynn, I encourage you to go. It's the one place where you'll go where you won't see a time clock depending on where you sit. There is one TV, and you won't get to see it. And you'll have to put KO on to see what the hell's going on. So it is not great. They need one more screen there or a time clock around the. It was. The people are great. The venue is poor. I'm going to talk about the North Queensland Cowboys taking on the Canberra Raiders at Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. They are going to do this at 5:30 on Saturday. There's a few ins. Morgan Smithers is out for the Raiders, but however there is quite a few people in, and one person for that would be Joseph Tarpany. Joseph Tarpany, the captain, he's back in a prop. For the Cowboys, it's all business as usual. Like they're pretty much all on the bench, and the other ends for the Raiders on the bench. Guys, can I just say this is Griffo, can I just say this is harder to pick than a broken nose. Cowboys are favourites because they're home. Granted. I cannot set my watch by the Cowboys. This club lately has made Rugby League and the Cowboys go together like toothpaste and orange juice. When you talk about the Raiders, I go, yeah, the Raiders, they're going to win. And they get done. They go, the Raiders, they're never going to win that game, and they're going to win. I don't know what to do here. My problem is I'm in such a dilemma because there's a part of me that says the Cowboys are just playing such horrible football at the moment. I don't know what to do. I'm picking the Raiders against my better judgment because if it's 50-50, you pick the home team. I'm picking the Raiders only because I think Joseph Tarpany coming back, Hudson Young in the side, Fogarty, Strange doing their thing. Hopefully Starling can get up. In saying that, you've got Drinkwater. They're really struggling in their back line. The Cowboys' back line is a struggling system at the moment. Their forward pack is doing some okay things. Can I just say this? I find the Cowboys' bench more inspiring than what's starting. The Raiders' bench, however, is not near the quality of the Cowboys' bench. I've got the Raiders maybe just winning, Griff. I don't know. This is one of those games where who knows what can happen. We'll sit down and watch it and go, what have we just watched? Don't know.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different opinion to you, Shano. I got the same team winning, but I'm a bit more confident. I'm going for the Raiders here, Canberra.
Good.
Last week, obviously, they got pumped. But early on in the game, for quite a long time, actually, they defended their line really strongly. And then they went downfield and had a try disallowed, and that was sort of the turning point.
Can I say, I thought they were a bit hard done by last week. I thought they got...
Well,
I thought there was certain 50-50 things. What's that?
I don't often agree with Ricky, but...
Yeah, no, I
think he had a point.
Yeah, I thought they were stiffed last week at times, and that pressure built on them. I did. I thought, oh, geez. and they defended, like you said, they defended well, got tried disallowed, and it's like, and even there were 2 6 agains, and you went, oh, come on, mate, like laying. There was one for laying on the player, and you're like, what's a dominant tackle now? Like there is no such thing. Like he chopped.
Well, Big Red went to the bin, and then it
yeah, there was one tackle where I'm just trying to think who it was. He chopped the player down, and you go, that was a cracking tackle, and it got 6 again because he didn't roll away, and you're like, hang on, surely we should be celebrating tackles that great. Like, 1-on-1, chopped him down. He should be allowed to hold his legs for half a year.
Yeah. Anyway. Look, poor old Sports at the back, KO Sports, he had a shocker. I don't think it was the first try. It might have been the second try where he tried to take the bomb with one hand.
What was that all about?
I don't know. And then Fogarty, I don't know what he was doing, but he should have just jived on the ball. He missed it, and I think it was Ethan Bullymore came through and put his hand on it. It was just a debacle there for about 10 minutes while Big Red was off, and just after he came back on, they scored again, and they were out of the game. But I do think they'll bounce back. It is a good side, and they're strengthened, as you said, by one of the best front rowers in the game, and some argue the best, in Joseph Tarpany returns from a silly indiscretion in Las Vegas with a shoulder charge.
With Tarpany, he's defensively, like, people talk about what he does in attack. His defense is so good.
Yeah, I think the Raiders.
Yep. All in agreement there. So the next game is on Saturday, 29th of March at 7:35. We have the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I love it when you get two teams with double barrel names playing each other. Cronulla Sutherland taking on Canterbury Bankstown. We have Brandon Hamlin-Ueli is out.
Yeah, he got injured. I think he injured his leg last week.
He's out. Other than that, it's all pretty much smooth sailing. We got some outs for the Dogs that don't really affect their main line. Look, you got some great matchups here. Connor Tracy, Will Kennedy. You've got people like Mulatano, Montoya, Crichton, Iro, the Sex Bomb. What can he do this week? But in saying that, Blake Brayley, Reed Marnie, Simon McInnes, Josh Curran, who's made a bit of a name for himself this week, Nikora. In saying that, I just think that there's one player missing for the Dogs who's so important, and him missing just makes them a team that can't beat these top sides. I class the Cronulla Sharks as a top team. They're going to be in the top 4. They're going to do well. The minute you take some key personnel out of your side when you're playing the Sharks, you are instantly in trouble. I've got the Sharks winning. I think you're going to see Nico Hines really control the ball. No disrespect to Bailey Howard, but I think you're going to see Nico Hines, Braden Trindle control the ball, Blake Brayley in the middle, Cameron McInnes just doing his thing in lock. You know me. I know they say 1679. I always include the 13. I think the 13 is just as much of a spine as any of those other ones. Their interchange bench is just so good compared to the Dogs. I think that once you start taking key players out of teams, it creates problems. And the Dogs have some key injuries. Stephen Crichton will be brave. However, I think the Sharks have got this in a nutshell.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. The Sharks will really sharp in the first half last week. They sort of tailed off in the second half, didn't do too much. They had the game won. But their attack, when they turn it on, is top quality. Conversely, we've got a team who has won every game. But I thought, last week they didn't score in the second half from memory. They were very pedestrian in attack. They had nothing, to be fair, with Billy Army Kikau and Matt Burton missing from the team. They still got over the top of a team that, is likely to, if not be spooners, then they're playing for spoon ball. But they've won 3 games. But they played the Dragons, the Dolphins, and the Parramatta Eels. Now, those 3 teams might be in the bottom 4 come the end of the season. But the Bulldogs, to their credit, they won those games, and they're banking points, and that's what you've got to do. Last week, as I said, their attack was quite poor, actually, in the second half especially, where they just couldn't score. But they held out. Their defence stood up and did enough. But they're playing a much stronger team here that can fire a lot of bullets, and I do think the Sharks might... and I'm not saying they're going to win by a big score, but I think they're going to dominate this game, and I'll definitely be backing the Sharks this week.
Yeah, I thought for the last week when it was it 6-4 when Para scored, I actually thought that was an opportunity for Para to go on with it. The Dogs didn't look comfortable, but anyway, they sort of found their way, and yeah, I think the Sharks.
They got the 2 points, which
they
is
got the 2 points.
At the end of the day, that's all you got.
That's all you got to do. And you know what? That's they're gold in this competition at the moment, and we've seen in the last probably 5 years, if you'd rather, I always say, you'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. So, that's the way it is for the Dogs, and I actually think they're going to win. They actually might win pretty. 4:05 on Sunday at 4 Pines Park, aka Brookie. I love it how they say it's in Sydney. Just put Brookvale far out. The Manly Warringah, another barrel name. Seagulls take on the Parramatta Eels from the Cumberland region. I was talking about that to some people today.
They were in the Cumberland was actually part of the first competition in 1908.
That's exactly right. And I was actually talking about that today to some students in reference to Cumberland Plain Woodland. We talked about Cumberland, and I said, if you're a Parramatta fan, let me tell you a story. Anyway, so we've got the Seagulls, some big ins for the Seagulls, and number 1, Tommy Turbo Trbojevic. He is back at fullback, which is a fantastic in for you guys. Jake Arthur on the bench. Interesting to see maybe if he makes his way forward. Paseka is out. Look, for the Eels, everything looks pretty much 1 to 17 as it usually does. Some of their ins more or less making up the reserves rather than the interchange. So this game here, you've got the Seagulls who are playing some fantastic football at the moment with Tommy Turbo back, albeit with their problems, versus the Eels who are just struggling at the moment. I can't see the Eels absolutely making any dent in this Seagulls side. This is going to be a massive win for the Seagulls. They're going to get the 2 points. The Eels will be brave, and they've been, look, at times they've been brave, in patches they've been brave, but the Seagulls will win this one big, Griff.
Yeah, I can't. The only thing I can see that changes that really is if, the whole DCE fiasco that's going on at the moment, whether that destabilises the team, but it's going to have to destabilise them to a really big extent to lose to the Eels, who, they're struggling. They put up a fight last week, but they struggle. You look at the team, and there's not a lot of quality there. I know, Lomax had a big game. Pensini's, he's a good player. And Sean Russell comes in for Samrani, who made a few mistakes last week. But if you think you're coming to get up against the Parramatta Eels and you don't get the 2 points, then that's something you look back at the end of the season and think, how do we lose to those guys? With no Mitchell Moses, they're really missing Moses. They got no guy that can lead them through the Red Sea at the moment. Hawkins is, he's a decent rugby league player, but he ain't. He's not going to win you too many NRL games. And the guy with the $1.3 million a year price tag, wearing the number 6, well, he's playing more like a $300,000 player, if that. He's not performing, to be fair. You got to call a spade a spade. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
There's a team that's paying that bloke $13 million over 10 years. And their supporters must be thinking, what in the world?
What are we doing? What has happened here?
And just getting back to the Cherry Evans thing, without banging on too much, if Dylan Brown's worth $1.3 million a year, Daly Cherry Evans, what's he worth?
Okay.
A lot more than that we were prepared to pay.
No. And I didn't mention this earlier. I actually said this to someone today. Look what Dylan Brown's worth. Next year, you got 1 year. And you need a halfback for 1 year. Who do you take?
No, you take Cherry Evans every day of the week.
So who's worth the money?
And hence why I think a team that's got a bit of space in their salary cap and could do with a decent half.
Wow.
The red, white,
and you
and
know
blue.
what? Treat him nicely. That you've got your halves coach. That's we forget about that. We forget about long game.
But for this weekend, I just can't see. I'm going to struggle to tip Parramatta all year.
I can't.
Unless certainly with no Moses.
Unless
when
there's
Moses comes in, there'll be a different side, but they're really struggling.
Unless there's some origin anomaly.
Yeah.
At 6:15, how good is Sunday night football? I'm going to cry when it stops.
It is great, isn't it?
It is so good. You watch the 4 o'clock game, you have a bit of dinner, then you're into the 6 o'clock game. 6:15 on Sunday, we have at Campbelltown Sports Stadium in Campbelltown.
Also a stadium.
It's also a stadium.
Goodness me.
What do you have?
You have to do much to be a stadium, do you?
No, I'm a stadium. We have West Tigers.
You're not that big, Shane.
No, not
maybe
anymore.
you used to be back in the day.
Not anymore.
Not
we
anymore.
have the West Tigers.
Maybe a boutique stadium, let's say.
On the New Zealand.
Glen Willow Reserve.
That's right. Take on the New Zealand Warriors. Key out for the Warriors is RTS, Roger Tuivasa Sheck. All the other ins for both sides, they're on the bench. Look, I think that when we look at the Tigers, can I just do a shout out? They've done some really good things. Dream Buller's been playing well. Taruva, Duahi, Galvin, Jerome Luai. He has an energy about him in this side that's infectious. Like, if you think that he was whatever at Penrith, at the Tigers, he's got this next level. Api Coruscant is just brilliant. Tyrell May doing some fantastic things. Big shout out to Alex Seafarth and Alex Twal, the two Alexes in the West Tigers. They're doing some good things, and their bench is really just solid. Jack Bird, also they're experienced players doing their role. The Warriors, on the other hand, I had them as my spoon. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. We've got Nickel Clockstad at fullback, Rocco Berry. He's trying some things. Harris DeVita and Metcalf in the halves. I'm really concerned because, in my opinion, the Warriors need a structured attack coming at them to defend it properly. They need this 4 out, forward pack run, backline spin, 5th tackle kick. The Warriors will defend that most of the time all day. That's not the Tigers. The Tigers have scored some way out tries there this year. They've thrown the ball, they've kicked it, they've hit the space. Second tackle out wide, where the centres have cracked through. I think Taruva has been a great signing for them. I think Jerome Luai has taught this club not only how to do the little things properly, but taught this club what confidence means. I think that the Tigers will win this game, and I think this is the game where we're going to see where we're going to say, far out, the Tigers are actually not going to be bottom anymore. They're going to play this game. They're going to play it well. They're going to do all the little things. The halves can I just say, with the Tigers, the halves are tackling well. Like, the halves are happy to get in and do the gritty work. They're covering for each other. Appy does Appy's thing. While he's really tightening up that middle. It means that when the interchange bench comes on, everything just cycles through. I really love what they're doing at the moment. I think the Tigers will win this game, and I actually think they're going to probably win it fairly well. The Warriors were the surprise packet for me last week. They played a brand of football I didn't think they could play. I don't know if they can back that up, because the forward pack they're versing this week will take them to task. I've got the Tigers, Griff. Who have you got?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Tigers win. Just on the Warriors, first of all, I saw them in Las Vegas, and they were dreadful. Yes. Obviously, they've turned that around with 2 games at home. That they beat the Sea Eagles and then the Roosters last week. So credit to them, and their coach for turning around the poor performance in round 1. Shans apparently got a double-barreled victory in the Dally M's last week. I only saw the KO Mini.
I don't follow Dally M, but
no, I'm just saying. But if two people are saying you the amount of it, you probably are. Chanel number 6, he smelled really good last week, coming up with I think he put a bomb up and he scored from it. So, and I was sort of a little bit critical of him being in the side ahead of Tamari Martin, for example. But no, he's playing well. Metcalf's a good player. Wade Egan's very, very crafty. They've got a solid forward pack.
I think the biggest problem with the Warriors,
number 14.
Yeah, I think
14, Dylan Walker.
Yep.
He's heading to the Eels. So,
I think their biggest problem is right there. Is that
compassionate transfer? So,
my thing is with Dylan Walker, would Tamari Martin be better off in 14? Would he offer more than Dylan Walker? I've often thought that.
It's going to be different. So Walker sort of comes on and plays pretty much at lock.
He's a power player. Yep.
Yeah, but so he's going to line up with the Eels, not this week, but next week.
He's gone.
I assume Tamari Martin becomes the benchman from going from 18 to 14. But irrespective, I think this Tigers team offer a lot in attack. And they've actually got I can't believe I'm saying this, but they've got the best defense in the NRL at the moment.
Yep.
What I'll temper that by saying is that they have played some of the lesser lights. They played Para, they played the Dolphins, and they played in round 1 the Newcastle Knights. So none of those teams are likely to feature at the pointy end of the season, but the Tigers have got the job done. They're playing with confidence, and you could see last week in that comeback, they were down a fair bit. Talon De Silva came on, and he really turned the game with his try, and then Appy in the second half showed, the class that he's got. So, I really am pretty confident Tigers win.
He's been such a good 14 for them, Talon.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, Appy's had to carry this team for the last 2 years, and the weight of the team is now off his shoulders. It's being a shared load, and he's now able to show his skill level rather than just being a tackling machine that he had to be.
And we forget the way he was injured for such a significant part. Like all the stars are aligning at the moment, and they're playing.
Yeah, no, they're looking good. They're in a good position, and I think they'll solidify their spot in the top 8, if not indeed they were second at one stage last week, but I think they might be 5th now. I'm just going to get that ladder up. Either way, they're in a good spot.
They're 4th at the moment.
4th, so they're in the top 4. I think they solidify that position this week. But the Warriors, they could jump into the top 4 with a victory here. So it shapes as a good game. It's lots to look forward to this week.
I agree. So that's the way it is. Round 4 for the NRL. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks, Griffo. Is there any closing comments you want to make?
Just apologies that last week for a variety of reasons we couldn't put a podcast out. But we endeavour to try and do what we can each week, and we appreciate the fact that people listen to us, and thank you for that. And enjoy the Rugby League this weekend, listeners.
Most definitely, everyone. Thank you for listening. Hope your team wins. Look, unless you go for the Panthers. But other than that, again, Rugby League, it's great to see it. It's round 4. It's everything happening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chameleon, for being a part of it. And be good, everyone. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.